Hello and welcome to the show. Today I'm making another detour. Sorry about that, but don't worry, I'll get back on topic. And we're going to look at what to do when you are negotiating with someone, when you're having a conversation with someone, and the person doesn't own the budget. So you can't really haggle or negotiate with that person direct. Now, the reason why we're looking at this situation today is because I had a conversation with a long term listener of the podcast last night, and he was precisely in this kind of situation. Oh, by the way, apologies for the noise in the background. NEPA has been misbehaving seriously, so all my neighbors are just blasting Jen. Then, of course, it's a Tuesday, and if you're a long term listener, you know that the house gets cleaned on Tuesday, so expect to hear some noise in the background. So, this listener of the podcast is into academic research, and he's been doing some work with foreign universities, and he has established a good relationship with a university in America. They've had a good relationship, and recently the guy dropped a proposal with them, and the guy was, expecting some coins. See, the benefit of doing business with these international organizations is, sometimes what might be cheap for them, like okay, you know what, we'll just pay you, $10,000 or something, or we'll just pay you $6,000. So for them, it's a steal. By the time that money hits your account here and you run the conversion, you know, you will smile. You understand? It's the kind of thing that you will smile, your wife will smile, you know, the children will smile, everybody will feel all good. So he put in a proposal for a bunch of trainings that he was going to do for them. And by the time the email came back, they slashed it by 80%. That's what happened. So initially, this guy now, let's just call him. What should we call him now? What should we call him? Oh, okay, let's just call him Uche. But Uche is not his real name, but he's an Igbo boy anyway. So initially, Uche saw this whole thing like, what the hell? They slashed my budget by 80% because of what? So he wanted to just waka. He just wanted to just walk away, just leave the thing. And I understand perfectly because even me too. I put in a bid for one international NGO type organization, and I gave the budget, and then they started nickel and diming me. They were telling me remove this item, remove this item, remove this item. I just told the team that look, you know what, I'm out. No, I'm not down for this. So it was one of the boys that was like, relax now. That why you dey vex? That calm down. Let's see how we can rescue this thing. So we're going to go ahead. We'll schedule a meeting and we'll see what compromises we can be reached. But honestly, I understand Uche's point of view. Because sometimes it's like waiting. Is it like see finish or whatever? So like really, this is where we are now. I beg, let me just bounce. So if you're in that kind of situation now, how do you handle this kind of thing? So, even though, like, I understand where Uche is coming from, because honestly, those are my own initial impressions. Like, man, just flash you this whole thing. Like, from where to where. I give you something, you didn't even remove 30%, you didn't remove 50%, you remove 80%. Like, what? But, Sha, we had the conversation and we tried to talk through a couple of options. Now, on this whole thing of walking away, I told Uche, again, not his real name, but I had to be frank with him that, look, this walking away thing, it's fine. It's perfect. But, it depends. Sometimes you don't have all the leverage. Sometimes you say, you know what, I'm out. And the other person will say, go now. If that one happens, you've lost the money. So you have to be comfortable with that. So I asked Uche, like, are you comfortable with that? Because this walking away thing can backfire. So back when we were in law school, because my first degree is in law, is something they used to tell us, BATNA, BATNA, your best alternative, Abby, best alternative to negotiated agreement. I think that was it. So basically, when you're sitting down in front of somebody, you guys are haggling back and forth at the price. Once they reach a certain level where the thing don't make sense again, you just stand up and say, you know what, I'm out, I'm done. Like, you know what, just keep your thing. Like, I know they do again. Like, I'm going. Doesn't make sense for me anymore. So, the whole scope behind that Partner, best alternative to negotiated agreement is if you stand up to walk away, and they and like their mind is really there, or they feel like you're a good partner to collaborate with, or what they're the ones that will say, relax now, sit down, like why you dey vex now, like calm down now, it's just business now, not be price with a price, like calm down, sit down. So, but that thing is, it doesn't always work. So I had to let Uche know that you can say, I'm out, I'm done. And the other school in America will say, okay, sure, no problem. We have other people that we're going to work with. And then they move. So are you okay with that? So anyway, I won't tell you what Uche said, but sure, we discussed that one a bit. But then I now told him that for me, this is one of the options that I do. Whenever, and this is something I learned as a young photographer because my professional background was in law. Later on, I got into the event space, photography and video with my brother, and then we started an export business. So I can't even remember who taught it to me then, but what I started doing was I would negotiate the scope of work. So if somebody comes and we talk, and I say, okay, Oga, your bill is 750K, and the person says, 750, you can't take 500. My response was always 500. Oh, yeah, sure, we can do that. We can definitely do 500. However, 500 is not going to cover all these options. So at 500, which of these options do you want to remove from the table? I hope you guys get the distinction. Negotiating the scope of work. Somebody comes, you tell the guy, or guy, your bill is 750. The person say, 750, take 500. You respond, I say, 500. Of course, I can work with 500. Why in Nigeria? Everything is negotiable. That's not a problem. However, 500K will not cover everything that I put on this proposal for you when I gave you 750. So therefore, let's look at this 750K on the table. Which of these items do you want to remove? Let us be removing. When we remove and we get to the 500K, then no problem. You can transfer. So for some people, that's enough to refocus the conversation on the value that you're bringing to the table. In fact, for some people, it might be good enough to even stop them from pricing because they get the point that if they price you low, we have to remove something, we have to remove something, we have to remove something. Now, the reason why that worked in the photography space is because certain part of our costing was our time, and certain part of the costing was materials. You pay for photo book, you pay for frame, you pay for second shooter, you rent camera, all this, all that. So it is possible within a certain amount that you can tell somebody, Oga, your bill is 3.5. The person will say, you won't take 2 million. You say, no problem, 2 million is perfectly fine. We can do that. However, the options that I gave you, that 2 million no will cut. So, you know what? Let's sit down. Let's look at this whole thing. Let's start removing now. Which one don't you like? Why I remove this one? This one is important, Abby. Okay, let's leave it. This one, no, too, it's not really important to you, Abby. And let's remove it. Let's remove this. Let's remove this. So, it makes the negotiating process, it makes the back and forth, the haggle, it makes it less. What's that word? I can't explain it, but there's a certain way. Some of us that our body is hot. There's a way like you just be angry, you just be angry. It makes it a very realistic and objective something, so that even if you get down to that 500K, because you know your numbers, like the money will still be good for you. Would have been nice for it to be the bigger number, but even though it is the lower number, we have reduced the scope of work. We have reduced the time involvement. We have reduced the input. We have reduced the raw material. We have reduced the, whatever, whatever. So even that 500K will still make sense. So I told Uche that is also possible. Negotiate the scope of work. They say, we've seen your budget. I've met with my colleagues. I've met with the members of staff. Remember, this is a university. Please note, it's a university. This thing is really, really important. It's an American university. Note, it's important. I'll explain why. And this is how much we're going to offer you. They removed 80%. So the attitude is 80%. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I can see how you guys want to save a lot of money and blah, 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 blah. Fine, no problem. I can work with this budget, but this budget will not cover every single thing that I put on the table the first time. So let's have a look at the seminars that we have planned for the semester. Let's have a look at the research activities, the whatever, whatever, whatever. Let us figure out what are non essential, and we'll knock those off and see how close we can get to this new figure. So, for the sake of argument, I say argument, for the sake of illustration, let's just say Uche gave them a bill of, let's say, $10,000, and then they said, no, we'll pay you 2,000. That's not what really happened, but let's just go with that. So, that will now be the scope. We'll look at what's non-essential. We'll look at, blah, 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 and all whatnot, and we'll see how close we can get to 2,000. How does that sound? And then you now try and schedule a meeting so that people can sit down. If they now start saying, no, is that 2,000 to cover everything? That's the point where you now say, that look, we've been doing business before. Am I not a good resource person for you people? Have we not had a good relationship before? If you want me to be able to continue to deliver value to you, we have to do business on terms that are just not profitable for you, but it has to be favorable to me as well. If initially I was giving you all this value and I said it's $10,000, and you say you want to cut it down to 2,000, no, honestly speaking, now you answer me like, how do you want me to do that? I gave you all this for 10. You're saying you give it to me for 2. You now flip it on the other head. You now say, how am I supposed to do that? Or how would you like me, like, realistically speaking, how do you think I'm going to be able to do that? You do now become clear that it's unreasonable for somebody to give you a bill of 10,000. You want to price and you're pricing 2,000, but still you want everything to be on the menu. So negotiate the scope of work. It is not every single time that you walk away. So for those of us that have hot heads, because it's not as if I'm hot headed. It's just that like this one is for the coverage of a documentary, and I submitted the paperwork. Next, they started trying to say, remove location scouting, remove this, remove this, remove. I said, what is wrong with these people? Now, is this how we're going to be doing this thing? Like, are we pricing meat in the market? I was like, I beg, I don't have time for this. So you can calm down and negotiate the scope of work. By the way, on the negotiating the scope of work thing now, Uche now said, oh, okay, so let me just respond to the email. And I told him, Uche, no, 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 no. This one is not a matter of respond to email. When money is involved, when we're at the level of pricing, when we're at the level of negotiating, we don't do all of this thing by email. We don't do it by letter. We don't do it by text. What's your rapport like with the lady on the other end? So let's say her name is Catherine. So yeah, I know Catherine, the project manager, blah blah blah. Me and her, the rapport is good. I say good. Since you and Catherine una dey flow, you will call Catherine first thing in the morning. What's the time difference? Okay, that means you call her by this time, Naija time. This one is a matter of phone call. You will call Catherine and have this conversation to propose how you can have a meeting and talk things over. And then all this proposal, counter proposal, you will do it with mouth over the phone, not email. Email back and forth, email back and forth. The thing is taking time. People are getting angry. People are getting heated. People are getting misunderstood. When it's matter of money like this and good money on the line, if you have rapport with somebody on the other side, pick up the phone, call that person. So, Catherine, project manager, you know her, pick up the phone. Okay, the dean, you don't really know the dean. No problem. You call Catherine first, you tell her what's up, then, you take some advice from her. So, you're calling Catherine direct, and then maybe you're updating the other people, the dean and the faculty head and whatever, through email, until you hook up the meeting. And then, of course, for those of you who are long-time listeners of this podcast, when you get to this meeting and you handle the meeting well, like I trust you would, this is the point where you also now try and get the phone number for the dean and for all the other people, so that worst case scenario, at least text message, WhatsApp message, at least you'll be on that kind of relationship with them, so that in the future you can be sending the dean text message, even if the relationship is not at the level of you call the dean, but you understand. See, communications hierarchy, face to face is the best. We can't do face to face because they're in America, we were in Nigeria. So therefore, audio is next. WhatsApp call, Skype call, Zoom call, phone call. Eh? Talk, 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 talk. Email, the absolute worst. So please, if you're in this situation, don't email them back. If you have somebody's phone number, call that person, have the conversation. Now, remember, I pointed out something that Uche is in touch with the school in America, but it's a university. This is really, really important. And that is why I said today that what we're looking at is how we negotiate, we haggle, money quarrel with people who don't own the budget. Now, a lot of times, those of us who are consultants, so Uche is an academic researcher, stuff like that. So, a lot of times, people like Uche and me, we are dealing with the person direct, who has the money direct, who can pay by themselves. But sometimes you're talking to somebody and you're negotiating with somebody, but the money is not the person's money. The authorization is not the person that authorized. The payment is not the person that payment that the author. You understand what I'm saying? So you're in touch with Catherine, who is a project manager or research assistant or whatever. But Catherine will liaise with the dean. The dean will liaise with the board. The board will present the budget to Senate. Senate will now approve the money. Yes, in universities we have Senate. Well, at least in Nigeria, in Nigerian universities we have Senate. So my assumption is that for American universities they also have Senate as well. So Senate is the governing body in university. Now Senate will now approve the budget, but the problem is Senate approves the budget on a yearly basis. So if Senate approves that this university now, Obafemi Awolowo University, or Harvard University, or University of Aberdeen, or University of California, or University of Australia, once Senate has approved that for the year we're only spending $6 million on training, that money is fixed. So sometimes when Catherine comes back to say we don't have 10,000, we have $2,000. Sometimes the problem might be that they have finished spending money on all other things here and there, and honestly speaking, is only just $2,000 she has. Sometimes that's the problem when you're negotiating with someone who does not own the budget, who cannot approve the budget, who cannot authorize the budget, who cannot determine the budget. Sometimes when they tell you that, what, it's only $2,000 we have, sometimes it is that, look, their hands are tied. Now only 2K remain. Maybe Senate approved 20K. They have done all other activities. So now only 2K remain. Sometimes it's not see finish. Sometimes it's not insult. Sometimes it's not racism. Because, me, sometimes I feel as if like, what the hell? So it's because I'm Nigerian, Abi. So if it's that kind of level, no. Another option is we negotiate flexible payment terms. And this is why some of all this story that I talk about on the podcast is important. Because there was a time, I think maybe like a month straight, almost every episode I was talking about qualification and discovery. Qualification and discovery. You're talking to somebody. Who is this person? What do they want? What is the problem? Can they afford to pay? This is the reason why qualification and discovery is important. If you do lots of qualification and discovery in the beginning, you will now have enough information when you get to this ending stage to now know how to negotiate. So, if you're in this kind of situation, you're talking to Catherine. Catherine is head of research in an American university, but you started asking background questions about the financing, the approval processes, the whatever. When it gets to this stage, you will know how to handle the conversation. You know how to be, you'll now be able to say that, oh, Catherine, I noticed that this your low offer is coming in the month of July. So, are you? How will I put it? Like, there's a way that you ask her that, okay, that look, this 2K that people are offering me, that is it because we're not yet at the beginning of a, how will I put it? Like, this spending is not something that has been allocated for or covered by the budget that was approved by Senate. There was a way that you'll be able to ask all these kind of questions. And when you ask, you will now know the kind of options that you have. Because I told Uche to ask. Because if that's the matter, that okay, now it's only 2K that is on hand now, and it's because of Senate and budgetary budget cycles and things like that. It's a simple matter of saying, oh sure, no problem. I understand your situation. You will are cash strapped. You are my lawyer partners, so I remain loyal. This 2K, we'll start with this 2K. But the remaining 8K, you and the dean just assure me in writing that the balance of 8K is going to come out of next year's budget cycle. You people will still settle me. That is also a proposal on the table. But you will not know if you do not do qualification and discovery. So, in this kind of situation now, you need to know who authorizes the budget, who determines the budget, how is the budget determined, and whatever, what is the approval process, when are payments approved, are payments done in tranches, things like that. This is part of qualification and discovery. Now, remember earlier when I spoke about BANT, a qualification and discovery framework to guide you through the kinds of issues and the kinds of questions that you should be raising when you're talking with people. So B is budget. Budget just means money. As we're talking to people, we should be having all these money conversations. We have them early, we have them often. We don't know what is going to be important. So we just keep having these conversations. You never know. Towards the end, this kind of thing can happen. And if you did your homework in the beginning, you will now know how you can make some good proposals so that two of you can make progress. Because I won't lie, with the way that this country is right now, you know, if you can collect $2,000 from somebody now with the promise of $8,000 next budget cycle when school resumes in September, it's not bad if you can make it work. But we should be doing qualification and discovery. So, how do you broach it? Yeah, different ways. In the early days, when people are still toasting and talking, and you're still getting to know Catherine, and Catherine is getting to know you, it's something you can ask. Oh, I'm just curious, by the way. In Nigeria, this is how it works, blah, 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 blah. For American universities, for this kind of seminar or for this kind of program, who owns the budget? Then you keep quiet and you hear what she will have to say. She'll say, oh, that's how it works in Nigeria. Interesting. In America, it works this way. And she will level with you. If you did a good job of building rapport, of course she will level with you. That is one way. At the early stage, at the talking stage, at the toasting stage, that is qualification and discovery. You're asking questions around budget and you're asking questions around authority. Authority just means who is deciding what, when, and how are they deciding, and what are the important factors or criteria that goes into all these decisions. So you will ask her, oh, Catherine, we did so and so for London School of Economics, last year. I'm just curious. In America, for these kinds of seminars, who owns the student budget? Is it the faculty that determines? Is it the college that determines? Or is it Senate that determines? You will ask her. In the toasting stage, as people are going forward and you start talking about numbers, you will ask her, oh, Catherine, I'm just curious. Have Senate allocations already been fixed for this year? You will ask. And if you did a good job of building rapport, she will tell you that yes, our budget cycles run from August to September, blah, blah, blah. So, yes, they have already been fixed. We're currently in July, so we should be getting ready for a new budgeting cycle in another. That's how many months now? Abi, is that 3 months? Abi, 4 months? But you catch my drift. If you do a good job of building rapport in the early stage, in the toasting stage, you will ask, and Catherine will tell you. Conversation is just flowing. You say, "Oh, by the way, Catherine, I'm just curious about your budget cycle. I mean, can we look at what that is so that these particular seminars we can time them? Because I want to make sure that it works well for you within your own budget cycle and works well for me as well. Because if this kind of thing is going to be a problem, you could have sniffed it out in the beginning before you drop the proposal. When you find out about the budget cycle and you say, it's something you will ask that, oh, won't this be a problem? We are 3 or 4 months to the end of the budget cycle. My assumption is you've already spent most of what was allocated anyway. So, Catherine, perhaps you should have a talk with the dean. Is there really anything left over for us to pursue these trainings within this academic year for 2026? Perhaps we should be looking at 2027 instead. You never know. If you had that conversation earlier in the beginning, you might not be in a situation where you tell them your bill is $10,000 and then they say, no, we're giving you 2,000. You see, this is why it sounds like theory when I keep saying qualification and discovery. And I know that some people get angry with me, especially salespeople who are employees. They'll be like, this guy has come again. This is the reason why I'm stressing all these things. In the beginning, we have no. See, you're not God. You don't know what's going to be important. So, all this story, I know it sounds unnecessary, but this is why the story is necessary because you never know. Sometimes you hook and you need idea. You will get idea if you did a good job of qualification and discovery in the beginning. You will ask at the toasting stage, "Oh, Catherine, typically in different universities, at least in Nigeria, this is how we fund it. Sometimes these programs are funded by development funds, like in my law faculty. Sometimes you get some funding from the National Judicial Council. That's how we're able to fund student programs. Sometimes there's a departmental budget, and sometimes it's from student activity fees. So, for this particular program that we are proposing now, how is this going to be funded? You will ask. And if you do a good job or build a rapport at the toasting stage, Catherine will tell you. Now, for those of you that have been harassing, because I've harassed a few people, I tell them that look, get a sheet of paper, write this thing down. This is not something you'll be freestyling. All these different versions of the question that I've been asking now, eh, you will write down 4 or 5 different ways of coming at this thing on a sheet of paper because nobody is perfect. When you're in the conversation with Catherine, and you're enjoying yourself, you will forget. Now, sometimes you will ask, and she will stylishly dodge the question. You need ways of rephrasing and of coming back. This is the reason why I say that for the salesperson, your friend, your best friend, your first love, the love of your life is a sheet of paper and a biro or a pencil. If you don't have children, then yeah, sheet of paper and pencil is fine. If you have children, don't be surprised that what you write in pencil, they will come and erase. It's not high tech at all. Small sheet of paper. Just take an A4. See, I explained this thing to somebody and the person was impressed. You take an A4 sheet of paper, this normal printing paper, fold it in half. All right? Good. The other half you folded it in, fold it in half again so that it now forms, kind of like a nice rectangle. Do you know that that sheet of paper, that size, it can enter into your pocket comfortably? If you're a boy, your shirt pocket, it will enter it comfortably. You're in a meeting with somebody, you say, "Oh, I hope you don't mind if I take notes." The person says, "Yeah." You just pull it out from your pocket, prap, and you unwrap it. That's it. It's that simple. You don't even have to carry load. A4 printing paper, take it, fold it in half. From the top, fold it down. That is half. Then you fold it in half again. From the left to the right, fold it in half. That thing will enter your pocket neat. Of course, women, you will carry handbags all the time, so there's no problem. So for men, that's that's the end. There's no more problem again. As you're walking like this, your front pocket, your side pocket, you already have 3 A4 sheet of paper with you. at any given time, so that no matter who you jam, wherever it is you jam them, in the bank or in the market or whatever, you can pull it out, you can make some notes. Or you're about to enter into a quick meeting, just step aside somewhere, just give yourself 5 minutes, calm down, arrange yourself, write out a small agenda, the different questions, the different information that you want to get, just write out, just script 2 or 3 ways that you will ask this thing. Then you go in for your meeting prepared. Meanwhile, one A4 sheet of paper, one biro. That's all. Nothing high tech. I'll continue to harass you people. But honestly, this thing is a lifesaver. So ask. Then, when you're doing qualification and discovery, it reaches a certain stage where it looks like you're making progress. You can now be assumptive and ask some questions as if you're going ahead and do some. It's not really a trial close or a soft close, but you're just asking some questions just to try and figure out how things will unfold. So in this case, excuse me, you can be asking Catherine, okay, Catherine, assuming we design something now, a series of seminars that will be good for the faculty, that will be good for the kids. We design something. It fits your needs, and it looks like we have an okay budget. What is the typical expense path, or what is the typical approval path, or how do we move from here? You ask, and she will tell you. Now, oh, yeah, if we're in agreement, the next stage is I'll have to bring it to the dean. The dean will have to bring it to the board will have to bring it to senate. At least you had the conversation now, so you now know what you're up for. You now know what you're in for. Some of you will say, "Oh God, this grammar is too big." I get you. The grammar is big, yes, because I can be very formal. So you just do it the way that you want. So like if you're going to, let's say, like OAU, for instance, at least while I was in OAU, Obafemi Awolowo University, the best university in the world. That's my alma mater. If you come in with too much grammar, the office secretary should be looking at you up and down like, who the hell is this guy? Because you have master Abi. So at that level, yeah, if you're at the level of you're trying to secure something from OAU or from um, Akongba Akoko, or Ladoke Akintola, and all these UI. At that level, you blend and you talk accordingly. So instead of in this case saying, Madam Kemi, if we design something and it fits your needs, what is the typical expense and approval path? Madam Kemi will not even understand you. She won't. So in this case, you say, Madam Kemi, okay, no problem now. So good. So it's no problem. I understand the pattern. So, Madam Kemi, what I'm going to go and do is I'll go and design proposal and blah 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 blah. Say if I come next week Wednesday, maybe I'll meet you. You say, now. If I take my phone number, you collect Madam Kemi's phone number. By the way, this is where some ethical issues are involved. In Nigeria, we appreciate. My wife doesn't believe in appreciation. She says appreciation is bribery. And I say bribery and appreciation are not the same thing. But anyway, we'll talk about all this later on. So, whether you'll appreciate Madam Kemi or not, I'll leave it up to you. But then at that stage, you now say, okay, so Madam Kemi, if I come back now with this proposal and I drop it to you on Wednesday, so Madam Kemi, so like, what's next? Shebi is the dean that will approve this thing, and then we'll now run it. That's how you ask Madam Kemi. And Madam Kemi will say, no, there's not the dean. That the dean will still carry it to faculty meeting. Faculty meeting will still carry it to Senate. But you see, either way, you've gotten your information. You've asked in the manner that is appropriate. I guess what I'm just trying to say is I'm a formal guy. You don't have to be as formal as me. But we all have to do the same thing. And we all have to ask these people the questions. Whether it's Madam Kemi we're talking to or whether it's Catherine that we're talking to. Oh, Catherine, these seminars that we're working on, does it fall within your department's discretionary budget for the year? When you ask the question like that, you're going to try and achieve two things. Number one, you'll find out whether they even have a discretionary budget. Because if somebody is saying that, look, you gave us $10,000 as a bill, we'll only give you $2,000 as a bill. If you are toasting Madam Catherine well in the early stage and you found out that they have discretionary budget, this is the point where you now say, oh, Madam Catherine, I understand perfectly. We're 3 months to the end of a budgetary cycle, so I understand that for the approved for the approved, how will I put it now? For the Senate approved, whatever, whatever, whatever. This is all that is left, $2,000. However, what about the discretionary budget? What do we have available there? I just want to know what options are on the table so I can put up a counter proposal. Just put it like that. You see, this is the reason why I say you don't even know what's going to come in handy. So this kind of question, oh, this thing that we're doing, will it fall within the department's discretionary budget? You will find out two things. Number one, whether it falls within the discretionary budget. And then number two, whether they even have a discretionary budget. So like I say, when it comes to qualification and discovery, you will ask, you will ask, you will ask in different ways. You will come from the left, from the right, from up, from down. And this is the reason why I say rapport building is important. If you don't build rapport with Madam Kemi or you don't build a rapport with Catherine, they will think you're a pest. That this boy self like just they ask question anyhow, anyhow, anyhow. So you build rapport. And this is the reason why I say selling is a conversation. You cannot sell until you're in conversation with somebody. Be conversing. Become conversant with each other. That's why it's conversation. So ask money questions early. Ask money questions often. Pick a qualification framework that you like. My own recommendation, pick one that is short, 3, 4 steps, maximum five. Because once you start thinking 6, 7, 8, 9, some of them have 13 steps. Honestly, it's hard to remember. It's hard to do on the fly. And it's not professional. It's not smooth, that you're talking with somebody, you want to run qualification, then you're now bringing A4 you bring a sheet of paper from your pocket because you're trying to remember, am I at stage 12? Am I at stage 15? So that's the reason why I talk about Brian Tracy. Want, need, afford, urgency. It's easy to remember in your head. Have I asked questions about what they want? Okay, I think I'm done. Have I asked questions about what they need? Okay, I think I'm done. Have I asked questions about what they can afford? Oh, okay, that's where I am. I'm at the afford stage now. We're talking money. Oh, have I asked questions about about urgency, about timelines? So that's the reason why I talk about it. It's not as if it's the best. Brian Tracy, want, need, afford. I think it's Grant Cardone who now added urgency. Then, band. Who came up with band self? I think band came up from, I think it was IBM. I think it was IBM. They used to make computers. I don't know what they make nowadays. So I think that's how they used to train their own salespeople. Band. Wherever you go, budget. You must talk money issues. Authority. Who are we talking with? Are they the ones who can make the right decisions? Need. What exactly they need? Timelines. What is the time frame? So pick one. Anyone you pick is fine. There's no best one. So long as you're not freestyling, just pick one. Then get familiar with it. Get an A4 sheet of paper, and then be coming up with two or three ways of asking questions. Budget questions. Come up with 2 or 3 ways you can ask. Authority questions. Come up with 2 or 3 ways you can ask. Need questions. Come up with 2 or 3 ways. Timeline questions. 2 or 3 ways. You can put it on a simple A4 sheet of paper that you folded 2 times on that small square. That thing will save you. So that when you go front and people hook and you start pricing back and forth, all those questions that you thought were useless, you were asking in the beginning, it is now that you have your time to shine. You will now be able to unleash your creativity as a salesperson and save the day. So that even if you didn't collect $10,000 as you planned, maybe you collect seven, maybe you collect eight. It's better than nothing. And it's better than just saying, they gave me $2,000, so therefore let me walk away. Anyway, speaking of all these dollars, you should pray for me so that these people will agree and uh, my own project too will be approved so that we'll get going. In fact, the problem I have dealing with all these international NGOs is their payment terms I don't like at all. At all, at all, at all. Somebody will finish work, then payment cycle is now net 30 or net 60. Can you imagine that? I'll finish the work now. I've already submitted the job. You now come and pay me 60 days later. But anyway, it's just one of those things. The way my wife likes to look at it, my wife calls it savings. That's the way she says it. I say, well, we'll just think of it as savings. we'll now know that next month something is coming in, or 2 months from now something is coming in. But of course, me, I have an impulse problem, so I prefer to see my own now. Let me hold it now. So sorry for the detour, but it was an interesting conversation I had with Uche last night. Again, not his real name, and I just thought I should come and share for the benefit of those of you who are listening who might be in a similar situation. Just know that there are options. You don't have to vex and then run away. Now, if you'd like to get in touch, just like Uche did, then you can call me, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message, excuse me, on 080-6466-2140. Also, if you don't like spending 20, 30, 40 minutes every day listening to podcast episodes, you can join the WhatsApp group by just sending me a text message to 080-6466-2140 or send me a WhatsApp message to that number. Then let me know. I'll add you to the WhatsApp group. And the podcast summaries are going to be there every single day. So as I drop the mic now, and as I upload this audio now onto the podcast, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to send a PDF summary of every single thing that was discussed in this podcast straight to the WhatsApp group. So if you're on the WhatsApp group, you will see the PDF. You can read it, 2, 3 minutes, get the gist of, what it is. Then on your own time, maybe next week, you can now come and listen to the full audio of what it is that is going on. So join the WhatsApp group, get the PDF summaries, and oh, finally, they've turned off the AC. That noise, I say AC, the generator. So that noise was really getting to my head. So, yeah, you join the WhatsApp group, get all the summaries, and then you can be learning at your own pace. And so that's it. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I'll catch you all some other time.